Shalom lekulam. It's great to see everybody. Hope you had a nice seder. We're in the time of the Sefira now, and I'm sure you heard a lot of things that were said by people who had great chokhmah to share. And it's possible that everything I'm going to say is redundant, just maybe with a different voice. And so I like to think of the Geula as a love story between Hashem and Knesset Israel. And it's a multi-dimensional love story because we're also the servants of Hashem. We're the bride of Hashem, but we're here to serve Hashem, and we're here to take on the prescriptions and the obligations that Hashem has for us. And so, but because Hashem is full of kindness, when we serve Hashem, it's not like we serve a master who's made of flesh and bone. The observances that we follow are uplifting for us. They uplift us. And anybody who tells you that Judaism, Torah, is a set of restrictions and it's hard to be a Jew, well, it may seem like this from the surface, but it's not really like that. It's really elevating. And the opposite of this elevation is the servitude of Mitzrayim. When we find ourselves in the narrowness, in the mitzar of Mitzrayim, then boy, is that a rough situation. And it's the contrary. We're doing something that is, God forbid, bringing us down, the servitude. And the servitude to Pharaoh is something that happens internally as well. We have a Pharaoh inside of us. Many Chachamim say that Pharaoh, Amalek, exist inside of us, and it's specifically Am Yisrael who has to deal with Pharaoh and Amalek. Why do we specifically have to deal with Pharaoh and Amalek? It's because we specifically have those elements that exist within us that we have to overcome. And so Avraham Avinu is told that his descendants are going to have to go through that. And he prepares the terrain. And he knows that souls are going to have to be elevated. He knows that certain sparks of existence are stuck over there. If we go into the writings of the Arizal, we'll find that many things happened to Adam HaRishon that made it that the souls found themselves in Mitzrayim to be redeemed, to be elevated, and to take with them those aspects that fell during the time of Adam HaRishon. And so we find ourselves in Mitzrayim, and it's the love is strained. It cannot be expressed properly because we're now under the spell of Pharaoh, who's, I'm sure you've heard many times, is Beda, which is the wicked mouth, the evil mouth. Every relationship has as its foundation speech. Nowadays, in family therapy and all these things people speak about. Therapy speaks about using your words, even in education, and how important it is to be verbal. And guess what? They're right. It's very important to be verbal. No couple survives without speaking, and without the joy of speaking. You make each other laugh. You exchange things, you give to each other through the speech, first and foremost. So much so that many Chachamim, such as the Rambam, speak about intimacy as lesaper, to recount to each other. The act of physical intimacy is likened to, because of course they want to speak in a tzniut way. They say that when a man and a woman, and when they go and speak to each other, to speak about intimacy, that level of intimacy was taken away during Mitzrayim for a purpose, so that there could be a renewal of a new type of intimacy that would become Matan Torah, which did not even happen in the time of the Avot, not in the time of Noach, not even in the time of the Avot. Of course, they observed those precepts in ways that were specific to them, but that an entire nation, an entire group, an entire family of people would now be bound by very specific observances, the Tariag mitzvot, that would be a great wedding. But it came at, we had to fix things of the past. Just to speak of what happened with Yosef, tragic. The story that happened with, the stories that happened with Avraham, with Yitzhak, the story of Lavan, the story with Yaakov, between Yaakov and Esav and all that, it left its scars and its things to be fixed. Not just, I'm just not just saying scars psychologically, I'm saying it left elements of existence, of creation that needed to be fixed. And that was the place where we would miserably toil to get this fixed. And so there are two types of actions when it comes to our relationship with Hashem Yitbarach. Make no mistake, Hashem is Ha'ilat Ha'ilot, the elevated one. And we are Ba'aretz Mitachat. We are on earth down here. And so there are two types of awakenings. There's the awakening from above and the awakening from below. It'aruta dilayla, v'it'aruta diltata'a. Now, prayer, as a general rule, is an awakening from below. Here we are below, going, Abba, Ribunu shel Olam, Ozreinu. So that's an awakening from below, and that awakens, kivyachol, so to say, entices, awakens, sparks Hashem's compassion and shefa and bounty towards us. So b'derech klal, when we wake up in the morning and we do brachot hashachar, we start to build the malchut a little bit. This world starts to get built a little bit in its capacity to perceive Hashem. And it goes on with the brachot hashachar, and it builds and it goes on, and we read the korbanot, which is a certain aspect of existence. Then we get into Psuke de Zimra, which is a less worldly aspect, which is more praiseful. Then we get into the Shema, and we start to get into the unification. And then we get to the Shmona Esrei, which is the true elevation. And so all of this is Hit'aruta de Tata'a, awakening from below. And so our awareness is built, and we can go into the day able to function and to gaze at Hashem's hashgacha. Hopefully we can do that on a daily basis. And so generally it's like that. And that's our avodah. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Who wakes up every morning and is like, I'm going to pray with the kavanah of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not always like that. Not always like that. Sometimes things are a little tight, or a little. There are bilbulim. It's possible. It's possible, and we find ourselves in some one way, shape, or form of exile, and we have to make the steps and all that. Now imagine in Mitzrayim, we lost the ability to pray. We lost the ability to speak. Pharaoh was suckling away, feeding on the koach of Am Yisrael for his own speech of demagogy. I don't know how to pronounce that syllable properly. And of dictatorship over people. And he was using the koach of Am Yisrael. The Arizal says that it was from the back of the neck, because Paro is also HaOref, the neck. And so he was drawing from that energy, and we were left dry. We were just here bricklaying and suffering. And so the chances to bring ourselves to express an awakening from below, to pray or to perform the mitzvot, is not there. We were exiled. And that happened to us nationally. And that happens to us once in a while, personally. And so we don't even know what the actual seder means. We're full of questions. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? In the writings of the Arizal, the way the levels, the partsufim, are drawn into this world so that we may be redeemed are actually not in order. Usually you work from the bottom and it's in a certain order. You start with Atiya, and you start with Malchut, and you do this and do that. On Pesach, it's first there's a gadlut that comes right away. There's a great flash of awareness that happens, and then the katnut comes in after that, and it's a complete scheme by Hashem Yitbarach to retrieve His beloved, and that happens on that night. And next morning, now that we found love, what are we going to do with it? Next morning, it's, I met the love of my life, but I don't know how to talk to him. And now I have to build myself. And now the hitaruta de tata'a starts. From where? From being a slave. Not even from being a slave. From being an animal. I'm sure you've heard many speakers say that the Omer, the offering of the Omer, is seor, is barley, animal food. We are without speech. It's not that we're speechless, it's that we don't possess speech, period. But we were freed, and our heart is on fire. Our heart has been awakened, which is the foundation of it all. And now that our heart has been awakened, the dibur must be built so that we can get to the ultimate form of dibur, which is the Torah. So these 49 days, which by the way, we say, as many of you know, it's how we go from chesed, sheba chesed, and gvura, sheba chesed, and all that. And it is indeed the quality of each day is expressed and drawn during that day. But according to the Arizal, what happens in each one of those, it's the chasadim that come from Chabad who come into our realm. So it's really, in a way, all about chasadim. Even though it's gvura sheba chesed, or chesed sheba gvura, or hod sheba nitzach, it's how the chasadim reach like a choo-choo train, and they follow that order. And on that day, we say that the first, second, third, or fifth of the chasadim has made it to this. Not to get into too many details, but it's really all about chesed. Is the point I'm trying to make. It's how the chesed permeates and makes its way through that path. And so we're building our speech in a way that we can amalgamate the different qualities that we have. I know how to be kind. I know how to be firm. I know how to stay balanced. I know how to be conquering. I know how to be praiseful. I know how to consolidate things and to consider the whole. And I know how to apply each of these qualities combined with all the others. And so those are the 49 levels. But ultimately, once we've done that hita'aruta de tata'a, which is acquiring speech, we're given a speech that we could have never seen coming. The Torah. That's not our work. We did all the work to get to Har Sinai, and then again, there's a hita'aruta dilayla that comes through us through the tzaddik, which is Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, Rabbi Nachman says that we have to pray for such a leader, because this kind of leader makes all the difference in the world. How so? In Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman teaches us in Likutei Moharan Zayin Tinyana, in the 7th lesson of the 2nd book of Likutei Moharan. Rabbeinu teaches us that the quality of the tzaddik, first of all, he has no angle on anybody, prerequisite. He has nothing to prove to anyone, he has nothing to take from anyone. And he has no judgment to pass on anyone. He has no opinion on anyone. He's here as a raya memna. He's here as a faithful shepherd. What is his quality? His quality is that he can take an upper dweller amongst us in Klal Yisrael. He can take the upper dweller, a person who's in a state of enlightenment, a person who's in a state where they're flying, and he can contain them, lest they find themselves like Nadav and Avihu. And it's probably not a coincidence that that happens around the Sefira, the Zman, the Sefirat HaOmer, because that's one of the qualities that we have to have, is containment. And because Nadav and Avihu, who were incredible tzaddikim, incredible chassidim, something happened where they couldn't contain themselves. Moshe Rabbeinu is here to contain the ones who are called what Rabbi Nachman calls Darei Ma'ala. On the other hand, there are people there are individuals who are ala panim. I don't see anything, I don't feel anything, I'm kaput. Moshe, the tzaddik comes to that one and tells him, Melo kol haaretz kivodo, the kavod Hashem feels every space, is the kavod of Hashem is everywhere. He picks up the downtrodden, and he contains the elevated. The two qualities that the tzaddik has to take us to Matan Torah: the elevating power and the containing power, and the inclusion of each one, of course. And this is what takes us to the Or HaKeter, because remember that the Or HaKeter, in a way, it's the most exalted of the Sfirot. It's not even a Sfira per se; it's a Partzuf, but it's a level that is exalted. However, remember that it's the one that contains. It's the ceiling. If you look at the ceiling, you say, "Oh, that's the highest part of the room." It is, but it's also what contains you from going higher than it, and that's the Or. That's the Or of the Keter. The Keter contains the Ein Sof, so to speak, so that you can have otiyot, so that you can have letters, so that you can have the Torah, so that you can have dibur. And remember that the offering of the Omer, of the Seo, which is barley, which is an animal food, which is the starting point of the one that does not possess speech, is called Omer HaTenufa, the wave offering. We wave it. Well, I guess you could say that you need your hands to speak. You activate your speech with your hands. And it's not just a tick of Italians or of Moroccan Jews. It's really the way it works is that the Chesed and the Gvura, which are the arms, serve as the initiators around where the chest is, to sort of pump out the speech. They activate. The hands activate the speech. It's not for nothing that Rabbi Nachman says that his Chassidim clap their hands while they pray. Many people use their hands while they pray, and that quality during the Omer of waving, in the very word of waving, tenufa, what do you know? Tenufa, in that very order, is the letters that say tenu pe, give a mouth. We're given a mouth during the Omer. I have a mouth now. I can speak. I'm building myself to become a speaking being. To get to the great speech, the great, complete, long speech of the Geula, which is the Torah, brought to us by Moshe. And what do we have as the offering on Shavuot? We have the showbreads, lechem hapanim. The panim. This is where the speech comes out of my face. It doesn't just come out of my mouth. It's projected through my mouth. But the qualities that are on my face make up my speech. How much I'm willing to purify each and every orifice on my face. I'll refer you to Torah 21 of Likutei Moharad that speaks about purifying the menorah, the seven apertures, openings of the face, the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, 2 nose, and the mouth. And when I purify these 7 again, then I'm able to have a speech. And that speech is the Torah. And the Omer ha-tenufa, the Omer ha-tenufa, tenu pe, brings us to lechem hapanim. Lechem is now, it's chametz, technically. There's no longer any fear of haughtiness, of becoming full of oneself, which is the state in Mitzrayim. There is great danger of becoming full of oneself and arrogant during Mitzrayim, because we don't have speech. And somebody who doesn't express themselves, they have a tendency to become angry. And so, and full of themselves, and gavadik, haughty. So, lest one become like that, it's better they eat matzah. They acquire the da'at of bitul, of nullifying oneself. When you get to Shavuot, you're a speaking being. There's no longer fear of chametz. Now you have lechem panim. You have nice, fluffy, puffy breads that represent the face. And now they are indeed made not of barley, of se'or, which is the animal food. They are made of hitim. They are made of wheat, the grain of choice of humans. And hitim, which is chita, so in the singular, chita is het, yud, taf, chita, sorry, it's het, tet, he, no yud, I'm sorry, is het, tet, he, is 22, is the letters of the alphabet. Chita, when properly elevated, when food, and chita is is the hitkalelut, is the all-inclusive food. That's why during Birkat Hamazon, if you ate meat, if you ate bread, you don't have to say shakar on other things because you're having the quintessential food. And at that moment, hita, which is the letters, because hita is 22, het is 8, tet is 9, 17, and he, 5 is 22. That's the letters of the alphabet. So hita can have two effects. Food can have two effects depending on how it's spiritually metabolized. If a person eats without yirah, then they find themselves in a state of chametz. It's food, it ferments, they're full of themselves, and it's an arrogant type of eating, and it's eating full of tava, lo alenu. When the letters are elevated, such as one who eats with yirah and with great joy, and who expresses things of dvekut at the table, then this hita is true speech. It's lechem panim, it's the expression of the face, and it's the receiving of the Torah. I pray that we can continue to elevate during the Omer, and that we could be worthy of the great Hatuna that will be Shavuot, that we should be worthy that this great Hatuna should also be the ultimate Hatuna, where we are united with Hashem, and where the marriage, the quality of the marriage is permanent and eternal, and that the Mesader Kiddushin is the Tzaddik HaEmet. Be blessed, enjoy, and try to sing every day.